So do you spend half your life scrolling on Facebook Marketplace, and the second that any money comes into your hand, it is immediately gone on Facebook? Well, that is exactly me to a T. So I have spent a lot of time and money on Facebook Marketplace, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it, about how to properly buy and sell on there, because so many people, it is clear when I'm buying stuff, don't know what they're doing. Listings are the most important thing on Facebook Marketplace, good and bad. Now, I have to admit, sometimes you do get a really good deal out of a terrible listing. For some reason, it seems like some of the most expensive cars have the worst listings. But what we want out of a listing, we want nice, clear, outdoor, good lighting photos, photos of every angle. We're sort of focusing on cars here, but it is kind of true to everything. Focusing on every panel, an engine bay, a couple of interior shots, nothing to hide. And to match all of that, we want a description that reflects that. We want some information, you know, I'm not expecting an essay, but we want some stuff, not just V8 Holden, right? we want to know about how many kilometers it's got, has it been in an accident, if it's registered, where it's located, that's a really important one, this kind of stuff. I'm sure I don't need to tell you guys. You already know a good ad when you see it. And when you see a bad ad, it is particularly frustrating, and there is a ton of them out there. One of the worst offenders is when people only put up like 3 or 4 photos of the one side of the car. If it's a really old car, they might have a photo of it before it was pulled apart, and that is terrible. You know, like a HQ 1 tonner or something, and someone's got a photo of it 30 years ago, and at the moment it's just a rusty old shell. Terrible. And you want to have a clear price. Now, I know that this is a little bit hard sometimes. You don't know what the market is going to pay, but you know what? That's what an auction house is for. If you're putting it up at 1, 2, 3, 4 open to offers, I almost always skip past those entirely, because it's almost a waste of everybody's time. You don't know where you're going to start and all that stuff. You know, if that's what you want to sell it, like go to Burns & Co's or Slattery's or anyone like that. Now, moving to the selling side, if I'm trying to sell this, what I normally do, within reason, is I normally try and work with the person who messaged me first. And I think that is the right thing to do. I'm very, very fortunate that that has been the way that I've always bought stuff as well. Especially this car was that exact case. I just happened to be the one who messaged him 1 minute ago. So that was very, very lucky. And all of those things combined make a good ad, make me want to buy something. If the price is right, the ad is good, I really can't resist. Communication is something that is also super important. And I know that it's not always possible. You know, you might be at work or whatever, and that's acceptable. But if you just ghost people, you don't reply, that sucks, okay? Especially if they have made plans or taken days off work, you can't be doing that to people. And I have had people do that to me where they say, yep, you can come get it. I've put it on pending and all that, and I've taken days off work. I've organised tow trucks, whatever. And then they sell it to somebody else. You can't do that. Honestly, it is terrible. And if you've done that to somebody else, you should feel terrible about it. It is not cool. Saying that, if you're buying something, you also want to return the favour and make sure that, you know, you're keeping up to date with what's happening, where you are, you know, that kind of thing. For example, actually, I was buying something recently, and the seller had my phone number, and the seller was calling me, I'm not kidding, more than 20 times a day, and it was ridiculous, and it was over a pair of $30 boxing gloves. When something happens like that, I completely, that was too much. I didn't buy those gloves. And on top of communication, because so many people get this wrong, is negotiating. Now, if I'm selling this VN for $7,000, right, I've just picked that number out of the air, but if I'm doing that and somebody offers me for 3.5 or 4, I'm not even going to reply. If somebody's offering me maybe high 5s, low 6s, that's a different story, right? But when you're offering someone stuff, I always much prefer it in person. Everything is reasonably negotiable unless it says firm, and if somebody has said that it's firm, respect it. I mean, read the ad when you're contacting them. Now, some of these ads typically don't have any of this and they just offer a phone number. That is a little bit different. You know, typically that's an older person and you can call them and talk to them about it. That's kind of a different thing as well. And the next one is definitely the most important, safety and scams. Now as a bloke, I'm very lucky. I don't really have to worry about my physical safety, but I am worried about my financial safety, security, that kind of thing. Now, some people are okay with Pay ID. Pay ID is pretty good and it's pretty well accepted, at least here in Australia, for paying somebody when you're doing something. But of course, cash is usually king. I don't really do bank transfers or anything like that because it is really easy for somebody to reverse that. And back when I was 18 years old, I had that exact thing happen to me. I sold a set of wheels for like $1,500. I saw the money come into my bank account, all that stuff, and then it was gone the next day. So that I've learned from my mistake. Don't do that. Pay ID is a little bit different. I've never had a problem with that. And you can kind of usually tell, not always, I admit, because I've done it wrong, but you can normally tell. And my general rule of thumb, again, take it with a grain of salt, is if you're going to somebody's house to buy something, it's unlikely that they're going to rip you off if you're in their house, because you know where they live and they've invited a stranger to their home. That's not always 100% though, because there might be a different house, all that other stuff. It might not be 100% obvious. And the other thing is, if you're going to meet somebody, I always, and you don't want them coming to your house, it's very rare that I have anybody come here or to my home. I usually meet them at a local Bunnings or a local Kmart car park or something like that, a big public space, you have your ute or whatever. Now, in terms of if the item is stolen, obviously there are things where it's impossible to tell, but cars are a little bit different. You can do a PPSR check, it costs a couple of bucks, and it tells you whether it's been an accident, whether it's stolen, all of that kind of stuff. And you want to check if the books of the car, and if it's in the name of the person selling it. That's a really big one as well. If that doesn't match, then red flags start to rise, and it's just, where do you stop? Now, in terms of what kind of cars you're going to get on Facebook Marketplace, almost always it's going to be cars like this, Fords and Holdens, at least here in Australia, sort of second-hand cars. You're not going to be buying brand new stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and expect that there are going to be things wrong with them. A lot of them are project cars. However, some of them are just normal people and they don't want to pay the car sales fee. Car sales is super expensive, so it's not always old bangers like this. Sometimes it is, well, a lot of the time it's genuine people doing genuine things, and yeah. Overall, Facebook Marketplace is a fantastic thing. It is extremely addictive. It's so easy to use, but it is also easy to get ripped off. So if you guys have any stories that you can put in the comments below, please let me know. I've probably told you my worst one. I got those wheels stolen. It was a bloke in a red EA Falcon. I remember that. I was spewing because I had never really encountered anyone that wasn't honest before that. But the vast majority of my dealings on Facebook Marketplace have been very, very positive. Let me know what you guys think. If I've missed something in the comments, if I've said something wrong, let me know in below. Facebook Marketplace, I think it's fantastic. It's really overtaken Gumtree and Craigslist and all that other stuff, at least here in Australia. It really is the place to buy and sell. And it can be a complete total income for some people. I know a couple of people where that is almost, well, it is their entire full-time gig, buying and selling on Marketplace. And there is money to be made there for sure, but it is a lot of work. Anyway, thank you guys for following along. If you like this kind of videos, let me know. Again, I only do them every now and then, some talking videos, but I feel I'm not an expert on many things, but buying stuff on Marketplace is probably one of the things that I'm better at. The other thing, although I have to admit, I am not the best negotiator. But anyway, thank you guys for following along, watching, liking and subscribing. If there's any other kind of videos like this that you'd like me to make about, let me know in the comments below. Thanks very much.